Good morning, traders. This is Chris Buss with Traders Profit Compass with your morning look at markets for Friday, October 23rd. Okay, let's get started, guys. SPY 2 hour starting to show a little bit of sign of progress here with a potential bull cross in the works. We've got price still within the downtrend channel, but at the upper range, testing it. And in the pre-market, it's still early. It's only 6:45 East Coast time as I start the video here, but futures are up 9 points. So I really think the key line on this chart is 346. Because we see all these candles where it found 346 to be a problem. If it can pop that, then it'd have a higher high working and some higher lows. So that would be the first signs of a turnaround. We'll see if we get that today. But as it stands, yesterday they went down and made a tag of this key support area, 341.50. and successfully defended that, and now they're testing the top side of the downtrend channel, and we can see it here a lot more clearly. We had this minor downtrend line that I penciled in. We took a look below and recovered, so that would have been a nice objective long area if you were actively trading it, and we finished near the highs of the day, which is, that's good. I've got a downtrend line here on the 30-minute where it intersects with this box at 345.50. I think if price can get above there, and really it's got to take out, this 347 to get into the higher high area. So 346, 347. I think will be, progress for the bulls today. And obviously the bears want to keep it in the box. And if you're actively trading and you see a push up towards 345.50 at the top end of the box and downtrend resistance, that's your objective short. Doesn't mean it's no promises that it's going to work, but it's the higher probability trade than trying to get long below resistance. It's the same thing here. Why would you go short right here? You wouldn't. You got to wait for a break to get short. Otherwise here, it's get long against support. So buy support, sell resistance. We do have this rising trend on PPO, which is bullish. And we also have a rising trend on RSI. So under the surface, even though price has not made really any progress since the beginning of the, back here, what was that, the 20th? Was that Tuesday? Although price has been flat, the indicators have been rising under the surface. So that's some underlying strength there that may give a hint that might have the power to pop out. Let's look at the Qs 2 hour. Here we see the same little look here, a flattening of the PPO, threatening to put in a bull cross. You can't front run that. I've seen too many times where just, it does this and then it turns down. So wait for that to trigger. RSI is still bearish, and, price is still within the downtrend channel. And I took a look at, I've been watching futures a little bit as I prepare to make the video. And while IWM and SPY are, green, not a lot, but, 9 points, 0.3%. The Qs have been red. just below the zero line. So there's still, relative weakness there. I think really to get a confident, let's go back long, it's 287 here. That would be a location where price would have put in a higher high, and then we would have a series of higher lows, and then we'd have our first higher high if we were to get over 287. And you can see it here. Here's been our volatility box. We took a look below yesterday that failed, and that in and of itself is a bullish signal, but very little follow through. I mean, it did good to hold this, broke back above 283.50 back into the box, but very little follow through right here. So that wasn't showing a tremendous amount of strength. We do have the rising trends, even though the RSI and PPO are in their bearish regimes. We do have some underlying strength under the surface. So if this can get some traction and pop 287, then it's probably going to be, off to the races. If there's another back touch of 282, you've got to assume that level's going to hold, and that would be your objective long, or 283.50, right here. That would be a try as well. And then once price got up to this downtrend line, let's say 286.50 or 286, that's going to be resistance. So if you're bullish, you got to wait for that to pop and then get long on the other side. Or if you think resistance is going to hold, then you would try your objective short in this area and count on resistance holding and then turning back the advance. Really, a lot of the interesting action yesterday was in the small caps, value, and regional banks. We had this rejection going, and we were looking for a tag of this gap support. We never got it. It reversed and stacked a series of green candles. And you can see here the PPO is further advanced. It never really went below the zero line, so it stayed bullish. And now it looks like we're getting a bullish reset and a bull cross. And RSI has emerged back above 50. So the rising rate environment with yields rising helps value, helps cyclicals, helps regional banks, and that is what IWM is loaded with. So you're seeing that response here. Now here going forward, it's got to hold 162 and see if it can make a push to 164. And if it were to break out there, we'd be looking for 167.50. Here it is on the 30-minute chart. I had penciled in this minor downtrend line here, which served to stop price back here. So if you're not in and price is able to pop the brown trend line right here at 162.50, I think you can get long there. See if you can get a push to 164 and a breakout. And I think that's the ticket. If you want to be, if you want to wait on it to see if it's real, wait for 164. Wait for price to prove it. But then after that, I think you definitely want to be long IWM above 164. Facebook and the rest of FANG. Let's run through that real quick. One thing I wanted to mention on FANG, and we'll see this in the charts, they're not really acting right. All these guys report earnings next week. I would have expected some type of at least a baby run, into earnings. They're flatter than a pancake, and I think it's I think the relative performance of the mega cap tech names, whether that's interest rate related, that money's, now these names are being used as a ATM, a piggy bank to rotate into cheaper stocks, or what the deal is, but they're not acting right. Here we got Facebook. The only reason it popped was because of Snap. So it popped up, consolidated, dropped below, and found support at this gap. Okay, at what is it? 276.37. It found support there and bounced a little. Watch this today. If there's, weakness and we drop back in below gap support, the path of least resistance at that point would be down here to fill the majority of this gap. Now, if it can break above this 278.75, that's fine. Your target will be 282, and you could get long there if you're actively trading it. But you can see on the PPO, you've got a bear cross in the works. RSI is still fine. That was because of the gap up. But you would have thought, or at least I was thinking, it was going to keep going, ahead of earnings with that pop, but really hasn't been the case. So we'll have to see how it goes. Apple, really soggy. Everybody that bought the split, they're all still underwater. So I don't know if this is, we got a chance to get out or what, but, definitely in a downtrend, definitely weak. Here we had a push up yesterday to 118, and then it just let go down here to 115. Now today, 115 is your pivot. You can stay long above, but below you got to get short for what would likely be a run back down to these lows down at 113. So pretty weak price action. PPO is still bearish. RSI is still bearish. Tesla, it had been, relatively doing okay. It got the earnings pop, but then they faded it, and they weren't able to hold this 430. I think you got to be bearish below 430. That's your pivot point, and you can be bullish above it if it reclaims it. But the path now, I think, is lower. First stop 420, second stop 410. And what would change my mind is if, price reversed, recaptured 430, and then I think you can be, short-term bullish. But the indicators are still in bearish posture, and I would have thought a nice report, they could have held those gains, or at least held 430, and they weren't able to do that. Microsoft, again, very weak. They report next week. Bearish RSI, bearish PPO, trapped in a volatility box between 217 and 213. We had a look below yesterday that failed, but then not a lot of follow through. You would have liked to have seen it, race up to the top of the box. It wasn't able to do that. we've got a downtrend line coming here that comes in around 217. Now, if it can pop 217 and then 218, then you got 221.50 to look forward to on the upper side. But on the downside, anything below 213, not good. I've got that level alarmed, either for a long or a short, depending on if it holds or if it breaks. It's a really key level. Amazon, this one too has been very weak. Still in the downtrend channel. We are here up at the upper range of it. What this one needs to do is pop and hold 3,200. Breaking out of trend would be a start, but it's really got to break above 3,200 and hold it, put in a higher high here, and then see if it can make a series of higher highs on a reversal. But it hasn't shown any signs of really being able to do that. It's just been rejection after rejection off of this trend line. Below 3150, I think it's going to come down here and fill this gap to 3100. So these $50 increments continue to work really well as benchmark levels. Google is the only one of the whole group that's acting nicely. PPO never went bearish, came down, had a reset here right at 0, moved higher. RSI back in bull mode. Price impulsive move higher, bull flag breakout, consolidation under the high. It needs to get this 1612 area to get the next leg higher. But just from the price action, this is in an uptrend. All the other ones are in a downtrend, especially, starting in this area. Look back at Apple and Amazon and all the other ones. This one looks totally different and much more positive. Netflix had the disappointing earnings, dropped down, lost 490. Now we're in no man's land. If you want to trade it, you got to wait for a move back to 490 and buy that on a break above, or short it on a rejection, or you got to wait to either this 475 level, which is minor support, or 465, which is a much more robust level. If you got short from this breakdown and you're committed to holding that short, I think you're fine. I think you can move your stop down to just above 490 though, and save this win on any kickback and reversal. But you're fine. The path of least resistance appears to be lower, unless it just seems like an odd place for this all of a sudden to find support. I don't see a lot back there at this level, but you just got to trust the price action. Price moves to recapture 490 would be bullish, so see if it can do that. Yesterday we talked about regional banks. Rising interest rates really helped the regionals. You'll remember that this group of banks does not have the capital market income streams that the big banks do. So they kind of live and die with interest rates. And if interest rates are going to keep rising, that's going to be very bullish for regional banks. What I like about this move, one, it took out key lateral resistance. You can see this big area of value here. Broke above that, broke above the 200, and really it's been the first time since it's been above since back in March. Had this little thing here, but that failed. That's a positive. And what I also like is a big volume over price void. I think price could move really fast here. I'm thinking about getting something here and see if we can get a push to 46. Intel, I didn't listen to the report and I didn't watch TV, but I can only assume it was a disaster since it went right back down to the prior disaster. Here was a bad report where it gapped down and eventually found 47. I saw last night that it was trading, 48, 48.50, 49. I expect this to come back down to 47. And, if you've got a long-term time horizon and you get a move to 47, I think you can take a long there. Just from a technical standpoint, I don't know anything about, the fundamentals of Intel or anything like that that may go into your particular process, but it's been tested once and it held. And if you get 47 again, you can set a stop just below. And if it takes 3 months to get, $7, which it took this time, is that worth it to you or not worth it to you? I can't answer that question. All I'm saying is I think 47 is an objective level to take a shot at a long and put your stop just below. XRT, breakout backtest. You're supposed to buy that. I like it. And as long as the 20 EMA and 53 hold, it's good. One thing I don't like is this declining momentum and declining RSI. You'd want to see that kind of turn up to validate, that this is going to go higher. But you do have the 20 and this breakout level as support, and for those reasons I would be a buyer of XRT. One thing I wanted to point out, some of these darling Momo names look like they're starting to roll over to me. I don't have a laundry list in front of me to rattle off names, but you can do the math. You can go through either your holdings or, look at the charts. But OKTA, however you say it, that's not supposed to happen on a name like this. Once you get that breakout, a back test is fine, but it just gave up the ghost without even a bounce. And now it's below the 50. My target for that would be right back down here to 195. I mean, that's $20. You might be able to take a short right here against the 50. 50's at 218, actually 219, and this is at 216.55. So say $3 of risk for $20 of reward. That seems reasonable. Take a short against the 50 EMA. But this is not good price action. And I've seen other stuff like that, flipping through charts on some of these higher flyers. Wayfair was one. It's rolling over. You can look at that. Anyways, be careful on those high flyers. And, draw your trend lines, have your stops in place, and then just honor them if you're in them. This is Snap-on Tools. This is exactly the kind of name that would do well in a a cyclical value rotation kind of thing. This gap up was for earnings yesterday, and you can see that it gapped up right to the highs. If it can pop 170 and hold it, I'd be a buyer there. I would wait for, I wouldn't try to front run it because now you've got a gap below, but I like this kind of a stock going forward if this value trade is gonna materialize and have legs. They sell tools to the automotive trade, which has been going great, so that might be a name for you. One that doesn't look so great is TSCO, tractor supply company. Had a high, came down, double top, gap down on earnings, slammed to the bottom of the box. If it loses 135, going to 125. And then we'll have to see, because you can tell not a lot of technical support during this quick run up. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that once it hits the 200 EMA, consolidate a little bit and then come back down, to 110, something like that. That's not a dire prediction. All I'm saying is, if 135 breaks, the width of this box is 20 bucks, 135 to 155. So a break of the box points to 115, $20 lower. So on a measured move basis, it can certainly find, 115, 110. So that's a short setup for you. Notice the posture of the PPO. Double top, lower momentum. Here was the first high, which was divergent high. And here was the second high at lower PPO. That's a double top with bearish divergence. And that was a clue. But then earnings was the nail in the coffin. So alarm 135, and I like that one short if it fails. Okay, I went a little longer than I planned to this morning, but hopefully it was worth it. If you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button and the alarm bell to be notified of all my content. Also, jump over in the show notes where I've got links to not only the blog site, but also where to register for my content. You'll get everything sent directly to your email box. Have a good day of trading. Watch those interest rates. Watch the levels on the indexes and our FANG names, and start hunting value names, hunting for setups in the value cyclical trade, and see if we can get some tight longs if we think that the value rotation is going to be real this time. The jury's still out, but it's looking good. We've got some productive looking charts in the small caps and regional bank space. So let's do our homework, and I'll have some names for you later today. I've got a little list going, not exclusively cyclical and value, but just nice setups that we can take a look at. Okay, have a good day of trading. This has been Chris Buss with Trader's Profit Compass. Talk to you next time.